The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Reynardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Reynardo. And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Reynardo had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens? The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Reynardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in the buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? Ooh, a workbench. Did he have any jewels he hadn't tried out? He had. Reynardo distrusted doors that opened automatically, especially after being buried for millennia. Was this some sort of trap? Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. Reynardo hoped his mother wasn't watching. dent in those shields. What's behind door number 2? Wait, what? How was he outside? Hadn't he taken an elevator into the depths of the earth? Reynardo knew more than he ever had. But about what? Do we have to stop? Reynardo was running out of ideas. Zenobia loved him to death. The Sky Ripper destroyed everything, and Lapino was a filthy traitor. Using a stone named for an evil god seemed, unwise. But what else was there? Reynardo felt like he was bursting with knowledge. But what kind? He was more and more extraordinary.
ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders.
This is quite the view, he thought. Always a rush. It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? It was the stone, eager, thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. Now you, Emperor. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Reynardo wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. What's the core? Said the stone anxiously. Feed me death, and I will give you the power to do what you want. Was he listening to a talking rock?
Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Reynardo had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed these souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
This was the nice part of town, but the ravens had been through here. They like to take shiny things home to their nests.
The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Reynardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
Hey! Hey! I'm a firefox, thought Reynardo.
In this chest, there were woodcuts of amazingly beautiful vixens wearing no clothes at all. And something more useful.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he? Or I could go that way, he thought. When I build my castle, thought Reynardo, all my gates are going to open with buttons, and all the levers will drop rocks at your head. Zenobia was waiting for Reynardo. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Danced around the room yelling, oh yeah, that's how we do it. It was something he liked to do, but only after he'd killed all the witnesses. People had laughed at the government workbench placement program, but you could see the benefits everywhere.
Finally, Reynardo caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. "Kill her," whispered the stone. "You cannot win your rebellion without it." "Please." "No," said Zenobia. "Not that way." Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be? With a flick of his wrist, he slashed Zenobia's throat. Her eyes widened even more. And then the light went out of them. Reynardo felt amazing. Power was rushing into him like water from a burst dam. Oh, such brilliance, exulted the Iblis stone. Tasty.
He felt a bit bad about killing her. He was pretty sure she still loved him. But needs must when the devil drives. Reynardo returned to the Farfarer and set a course for the Nexus. The Empire had a communication outpost there. He could call the Emperor directly.
It was time to seize the outpost and let the Emperor know what he had done. The Nexus was beautiful. He'd never realized how beautiful. Everything glowed. The wind was so sweet. The sun so soft. The stones so warm. The black raven feathers. Black feathers. Suddenly, his eyes are filled with them. He's falling through smoke under a dead sun. A voice calls him home. Is this a vision? Whose? Is this the time of the lost gods? Or the future? No matter. What mattered now was killing his way to the Imperial outpost and challenging the Emperor from there.
Maybe I should follow my nose, thought Reynardo.
Who's your next of kin? Just wondering. Up ahead was Lupino. What was he doing here? Reynardo! Hey, buddy! Hey there, old buddy! Please don't kill me! Why would I kill you? Asked Reynardo, although he had been thinking about it. Well, you've become Look, I mean no disrespect at all here. Kind of evil? Maybe you should, I don't know, go to the mountains to have a think? See if maybe you're sure the stone is not all that healthy a thing to keep?
I suppose you wanted, Reynardo said, and poked Lapino in the chest for emphasis.
Oh, had he just killed Lapino? Oh, damn it.
The platform used a hybrid propulsion system fueled by anti-gravity and wishful thinking. Reynardo rampaged through the Imperial outpost like a water buffalo rampaging. At the last moment, he remembered not to kill the Farspeaker Toad. After all, he wanted a word with the Emperor. But there was only silence. The Emperor was scared, like little girl. Well, he would gather the rebel army and slaughter the Imperial fleet. Applauded the Iblistone. Tremendous. Then the Emperor would have to answer his Farspeaker, wouldn't he?
Who are you?
Asked a distant voice that sounded uncomfortably like Zenobia.
What have you become?
The mountains. Go to the mountains, urged another that sounded a bit like Lapino. Called the Rebel Council to let them know to gather their forces. Then he killed the Farspeaker Toad. Why? Oh, because to make sure his sword was sharp. Oh no, that's awful. So no one else could use it. Yes, that's it. Then he set off for the ruins and the secret rebel base. The ruins were crawling with ravens. Probably looking for the secret base, Reynardo thought. But then he realized they're probably looking for me. They must be very scared of me. Well, here I am! You are the best warrior ever, whispered the Iblistone. And he had to agree with it, for once. Who was as good as Reynardo? Reynardo was so happy. The stone was the best friend he'd ever had. Really, who would bury such a treasure in the desert? Soon, he'd go rally the rebellion and usher a new age for the islands of Erda. I need more materials, thought Reynardo. Urged the stone.
Let me make you an emperor.
Come to think of it, Reynardo thought as he put down another raven, why shouldn't I be emperor? How did anybody get to be emperor anyway? By making war. I was not counting the transcendent emperor, obviously, who had banished the lost gods in the start of time. Yes, he should be emperor. He would make a great emperor. Right, Stone? Snack time, boys! Called the lead raven. These things could really use a hand. The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. Reynardo was remembering all his old tricks, and some new ones. Now, he really ought to ask for a raise.
Reynardo strode into the council. Let's do this thing. Let's make me emperor. They looked confused and nervous. Ah, had he mentioned the emperor thing? Yeah, he meant to bring that up later. I mean, let's go win this rebellion. He waved his sword around encouragingly. They ran. Cowards. He'd stop them. He cut down a few to inspire the others. But soon, there was no one to cut down. Well then, he'd have to attack the fleet alone. More for me, he said. Unless it was the stone that said it. Traitors. Traitors, all of them. They'd run rather than following him, rather than cheering him. What should he do to the cowards? Anything he wanted to. After all, he was a true hero, the best warrior there ever was. No one could stop him now. But first, finish him. The Emperor, that is. Where was the rebel fleet? They weren't even trying an assault. They were going to miss a day in history. The downfall of this dynasty, and a new one to take its place. He didn't have to kill all the ravens. He could enslave them, and enslave the toads too. All the animals would worship him as a god, for he had once been a god. They would willingly give him their blood and their souls. And the world would change, would become familiar again. Swell. He'd always wanted to do that. Don't look down, he told himself. Don't look down. Reynardo was glowing with dark power. Already the sun had dimmed. He could do anything, he realized. He could wrap the island safely in smoke again. He was beyond a hero. He was going to become a god again. How odd, he thought. The Iblis Stone had nothing to say about any of this. Well, no matter. Once he killed this petty toad emperor, he would bring back the Black Sun.
Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of it. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.
He found the Emperor and the Council huddling by his ship, plotting. They saw him and cowered before him.
Back to hell, fiend.
Croaked the Emperor desperately.
In the name of the Transcendent Emperor!
Croaked the speaker. They held some arcane items he didn't recognize. He simply flexed his will and sucked their souls out of their bodies. And Iblis exulted. It is finished. And the void that had been a mere stone on a sword expanded. It stretched and ripped like a vast womb. And a gaze, black and pitiless as the sun, passed through the void into the land. And so time ended. He should go back to some of the choices he'd faced before. Maybe there were new paths that had opened up, like those doors he was opening up all over the map that took him to new treasures and around his enemies. But he'd learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it,